Good Sunday morning, Sonder family. I'm Jennifer Ogilvy. I get to be your facilitator as we set up for a new week. It's so good to see everybody. I'm just glad that you're here. I know that there are storms all over. I want to give a shout out to my co-facilitator this morning, the fabulous Katie, who actually it was without power, had a terrible storm in the middle of the night. She had to relocate this morning so that she could be with us. So just extra kudos to that wonderful facilitator. If you have any questions this morning, drop them in the chat, and Katie's going to do her best to answer them or point you in the right direction for that. I am coming to you from the very hot Dallas, Texas area. Yeah, you're going to hear me complain about it now. I try to be grateful, and then it gets hot, and then I just whine. So I'm so glad that you guys are all here this morning. We're ready to go. I wanted to share the daily affirmation. If you haven't already gotten on the app and seen what it is, I am dedicated to continually improving myself. Bam, here we are. We are embracing today's daily affirmation because we are here to set ourselves up for a fabulous week ahead. So let's get going. I wanted to point out, if you're not on Instagram, the Silk and Sonder Instagram, be sure to give that a follow. I got this fun little slide over there on the right from there, 5-minute Sunday self-care ideas. And I love it. Just quick little blips to make sure that you are embracing a little bit of time for yourself. Sometimes it feels like you don't have time to do it. You can make 5 minutes somewhere. So there's some great suggestions for that. All righty, just a quick little reminder about the community guidelines when we are gathered together. This is a safe space. We always say what happens in Sonder Club stays in Sonder Club. So we ask you to respect each other's privacy. We, of course, no bullying or hate speech. If you do have any customer care type questions, be sure that you drop a line to hello@silkandsonder.com. And they should be able to answer your questions, concerns, feedback. But that's they're a Monday through Friday operation, Pacific time, but every now and then someone will pop on. So you might get an answer a little quicker than a Monday through Friday. But anyway, and then finally, remember that when we are gathered together, this is about you and about taking care of yourself and leaning on one another, right? There's a power in this community. And I know for myself that I can have a really bad day and I could just come and hang out with you guys and all is well, like reset. So I'm glad you're here. Is there anybody joining us for the very first time? Drop a me in the chat and we can give you a big social welcome. Oh, hello, Chelsea. And Chelsea, I'm going to ask you, make sure everybody that your chat is set to everyone. If you see your name to host and panelists, it means only Katie and myself are actually seeing your messages. And we do a lot of sharing through the chat. So I see that Chelsea's here, Tanya's here. Those are a couple new ones. Give them a big welcome. And let's get moving on with our morning. So we are digging into the theme of loyalty this month. And, the graphic says it all. I can't keep pouring into you if you keep leaving me empty. Being loyal to yourself is the first step of self-care, of being what you need to be for the world. When you are taking care of yourself, you are also sending a message to others. This is how I expect to be treated. And you lead by example for the people in your life that they too can be loyal to self, that they can see how you are treating yourself. So we're going to start this morning with our loyalty mind map. And for those of you who are brand new, what we do at these week-to-week setups, our weekly setups that we do on Saturday, Sunday, and Monday morning, we do a deeper dive into the month's theme. And so each week we'll take the theme of loyalty and then we'll apply a lens to it. And it helps us kind of dig in a little deeper and get to know ourselves better. So we are on week 3. I will show you what the mind map looks like, and you can jump in and catch up if you'd like, or just do the dig into loyalty through this week's lens. We're going to do a rosebud thorn reflection looking at last week. We'll have our weekly setup where I have a ton of examples of you guys, your pages to share with the Sonder family. And then we will close. And for those of you who are here for the very first time, feel free to grab a screenshot. I always, when I go to socials, I take my phone and I literally just take pictures of the screens of things that speak to me, maybe something I want to try in my journal. There are a lot of ways to take our journals and repurpose some of these spaces to work for you, or you can use them as is. I use most of my spaces just as is, but it's kind of fun to change things up a little bit and try things that'll work for your life. And then we'll close. So here, like I mentioned, we're working on our mind map. We're going to be looking, we're saying by staying loyal to yourself, you reinforce your self-love. And it's a way of acknowledging your own worth and educating others on how they should treat you. So we've got these 4 different weekends. We're on week 3. And this week, we're focusing on examining our needs. What needs do you have? So week 1 was, we took a look at our core values and beliefs. What are the things that drive us in our life? Those values and that system of beliefs that we have established. And maybe what beliefs do we need to get rid of that no longer serve us, that negative self-talk? So we kind of did a deep dig there. Last week, we looked at our likes and our dislikes. What are things that are important to you in your life that you've just got to have, and what are the things you don't like? And we looked at things like, impatience or bad drivers, that kind of thing, those things that really do kind of link right back into the things that we value and we believe. But this week, we're going to be looking at our needs. So you may be already right there and you know exactly what you need. You may be doing the work and figuring that out. But if you're not sure like where to start, I found this great little quick read. Katie's going to drop the link in the chat. One of the suggestions was just start by tuning into your body, like right now. Take a deep breath and notice your mental and your physical state. And then start jotting down what you need in relationship to how you're actually feeling right now at this moment. And I kind of leaned into embracing that. I just kind of sat and examined how I was feeling. And yes, Katie just dropped that in. It's from the Shine app. So it was a nice, quick little read to sort of help me center my response to this. And so this is a great quote. People who are good at identifying their needs are also more likely to have their psychological needs met. They enjoy better relationships, a greater sense of being good at what they do, and more freedom in their actions, which is why it's so important to know what you need at any given moment. Here is my page. I've done my mind map journey week to week on the definition page, which is on page 38. I kind of use different spaces in my journal every month to see what works for me. You can even just do this on a piece of paper that travels with you, maybe Post-it notes that you have on the mirror in your bathroom. And so when I did that exercise by really kind of just like, where am I right now? What am I noticing in my body? I answered that I need rest, better rest and sleep. I need movement and exercise on the regular. I was telling Katie, I have bursts of busy days and using my body physically. And then I have very slothy days. I need closeness with my husband. We're kind of early retirees and we're trying to figure out what that looks like. So we need more shared experiences. We need to still dream together, planning for our future, making memories, doing stuff together. And I need to be, something else I need less of this. I shared with you guys a couple months ago, my mom had a stroke and she's fine. She's as great as she could be. We're very blessed, but I need less of being the family coordinator for all the decisions around mom. I have two very capable brothers. Um, I know that it's a daughter syndrome, but that's something I need less of, and I know I need less of. And so then I leave you with this from the Shine App. Ask for what you need first from yourself, and then from others. So let's take a moment to reflect on what you are needing. And remember, it could be things that are not serving you. You need to take that away to really meet your needs and be loyal to self. Good work. You may find yourself needing to work on this one a little bit, really consider and think about it. Let it kind of bounce around. You don't, it sometimes, it takes a minute to get those thoughts together. I saw some really great stuff of, we had a little conversation in the chat about puppy cuddles. And I said, I'm getting to puppy sit right now for my grand dog. And I think if everybody could just get puppy cuddles at the start of their day, it would solve all the world's problems. But lots of good deep digs, self-acceptance, downtime, giving yourself permission to have that alone time to reset. Um, sometimes I can remember feeling like I had a million straws poked in me and people were just sucking, sucking, sucking. And there wasn't anything left over. Right. But Sherry said, to tell herself to stop self-sacrificing to meet others' needs. I need you too. So please prioritize yourself. That being a friend to yourself and doing that kind of talk to yourself is a great way to examine your needs. So, good job, guys. Again, like that quote said, that we are in better shape when we identify our needs. And then I want you to do exactly what's down there on the bottom of that slide. Ask yourself what you need, and then prioritize you making it happen before, and then ask others to join in on that plan. So now let's do a dig into looking at last week. This past week, we're finishing up today. We're going to be on page 44 at the bottom where our rosebud thorn reflections are. And when we do these reflections, it helps us find meaning in our week. We can see the things that we can be grateful for and the things that we need to work on or leave behind. So your rose is going to be a highlight, something that went well, something that you're proud of. Did you have an accomplishment? Did you get something done? Did you spend time with somebody who brings you joy? The bud is an emerging opportunity, something that is lying ahead. And sometimes the bud can just be that tomorrow is Monday and it's a new week. And that is plenty enough of a bud. What's ahead for the new week? And then, of course, the thorn is a challenge or something that is kind of affecting your mindset. Maybe it's something you can leave behind. It could be illness. I know many of you are caregivers. That can always be a thorn because it depletes you as a human being. Mine this week, I got to see Hairspray with my daughter. I drove into Austin. We were musical gals. That's what we did as she grew up, from whether it was on DVD. I think we actually started with VHS. And when she got older, my husband would always give me a little season ticket batch to musicals, and I always took her. And so we have not done this in years, and we got to go together and we celebrated her birthday. It was awesome. It was a big, probably the rose highlight of my month. My bud, I've been talking about this for a month. We're going on vacation soon. And so that the countdown is on. We got a couple of weeks. And then the thorn is the Texas heat is back and my garden is going, no. And so my tomatoes have they're not setting new stuff anymore. Things are starting to, so that's just a thorn. So let's take a moment to kind of reflect on last week. Feel free to share in the chat so we can give you some Sonder love and some Sonder cheers. And I'll be back to check on you in just a minute. Thank you guys for sharing. I know some of you guys have some yucky thorns. And I'm sorry, if we're hanging out in life, we're gonna have those thorns. I really appreciate you sharing. And I'm sorry. And I'm just giving you a hug. We're sending out some good vibes. Remember that when you're going through the thorns, you're not alone. You've got us. Even though we're all virtual, we're together, we're community, we're safe, and we hold space for those really tough days. And I celebrate your roses and your buds. I loved some of the things that you guys were sharing. So I'm glad that we have ups and downs, but we're all here for each other. And sometimes there's nothing we can do but just, hang out and go. So let's move forward to setting up our new week. If you are struggling with some thorns, make sure that you're being intentional about how to meet your needs, like we talked about, and that you maybe find some ways to incorporate that into your journal this week. Now, the list that I have on the screen right now is not an exhaustive list, but these are some ways that you can add to your journal in these spaces to meet maybe what you have in your life. Perhaps you repurpose some of these spaces to be an exercise tracker or a symptom tracker or a garden tracker. Right now I'm using my sleep tracker as my garden tracker. I'm a big gardener, and so I keep notes about when I fertilize or when I deadhead my flowers or whatever. And so if you want to grab a quick screenshot of that, these are some great considerations. It took me about 4 months to kind of figure out the cadence of how I set my journal up. And so give yourself patience, especially if you're kind of newish to this, about how to make this tool work for you. So let's start with page 46. That's our weekly planner. We are actually on week 25. We're heading to the very smack dab middle of the year, and we actually have a couple of opportunities for an exclusive event for Meet Me in the Middle, where we will kind of take a moment to pause and reflect over the last 6 months and see how we're doing and if we need to change anything up. So if you're interested in that, you can go to the Eventbrite link that we'll share at the end of this, and you can go ahead and sign up for that. And I think I get to be the facilitator for that Friday, so would love to see you there. I always like to include, when folks use these little calendars that are right there at the little top corner of the journal, as for like your week at a glance, you can see how this person set that up. So if you're not using that little calendar, that's a suggestion that might be helpful to you. But let's start off with, how do you want to feel this week? And just drop that in the chat. There's a lot of ways to set this up. You can use a word, several words, a quote, a mantra. Maybe you're going to embrace one of the daily affirmations that will kind of guide your week. Maybe you've got a fun sticker or a picture. Maybe there's a thing you want to focus on, just one thing. I'm seeing lots of, you want to be present, motivated, productive, organized, balanced, calm, and productive. Whole. I'll tell you, I put productive a lot in mine. That's just kind of how I'm wired. And so a lot of times it's productive, and then a couple of other more feely words. Oh, Elizabeth, I love that. She says anything but ordinary. She's got a bracelet that says that. I love that. Loyal to self. Katie's saying, I want to move forward, always pushing ahead. So think about right now, how do you want to feel this upcoming week? I personally, I need to be productive. That's just me, but I also want to have some calmness and some rest. And that's one of my needs that I identified. I need rest. So I'm probably going to be using that in my habit tracker to make sure I'm getting to bed on time and incorporating that. So thank you for sharing. Think about that. If you're not sure, you can sit with it, maybe start working on your goals and your to-dos, and then a couple of words will pop into your head. Thanks for dropping that in the chat. And we're going to go to the box right below that, which is the major 3 goals for our week. Now, You don't have to do 3 goals. Maybe you've got one really big thing that you need to work on, and that's fine. Just do the one goal, or maybe you need to add a couple more because it's a crazy week and you want to do that. Somebody just said, I'm going to be full of shenanigans. I love that. Um, but I'm going to ask you, as you're setting your goals, how will your goals support the way you want to feel this week? And let's go back to sitting with ourselves. What do we need? And your goals may be defined that way. What do you need right now at this moment? Someone dropped this quote in the chat last night when I was the co-facilitator for Maya, and said, a dream written down with a date becomes a goal. A goal broken down into steps becomes a plan, and a plan backed by action becomes reality. So there's a lot of ways to frame your goals out. Go back, look at your intentions and your monthly habits. How are you doing there? We're kind of in the middle of June. Do you need to go change any of those up? It's okay to change those mid-month. If they're not working for you, go change that up. Again, using that lens of loyalty and really focusing on this week's mind map, your needs. Perhaps that's where your goals need to fall. Create 3 no goals that will set things up in a positive way. So maybe, no spending, no ordering out, things that you might be working on in your life. Go ahead and flip back to the last couple of weeks. Are there things that are outstanding that you need to bring forward? That's neutral. If you didn't get it done, it's okay. No judgment. Just move it forward and get it done, or put a big X through it and know that it's just time to move on. Give yourself permission to do that. Again, not doing something that you've written down is neutral. You just didn't get to it. There's not a judgment associated with whether you did it or not. Perhaps you frame your goals around a challenge, like you're going to do a salad challenge or a no spending challenge. And then a lot of folks will set this section up around categories, and I've listed several there for you. Maybe you do a mind, a body, and a soul. Maybe you do a left brain, right brain, no brain, a work goal, a community goal, a home goal, and you can see the rest of the delete, delegate, and delight. So revive, relax, reconnect. I tend to do this one a lot. I do frog, fun, and fruitful. And so the frog is that kind of eat the frog, eat the toad. What is one goal that I need to get done that I don't really want to do, right? That's my frog. And then something fun to make sure that I'm embracing that. And then something fruitful. Yes, Tanya. So that's what that is. That's the thing you don't want to do that needs to get done. That eat the frog, just get it over with. So I tend to do that because I'm really good about doing the things I want to do instead of the things that need to be done. I'm going to show you a bunch of examples. Let me go ahead and put on some music, and then you can see how folks have set their major goals up. And I'd love to know what you're working on this week. All righty. So we're working on our goals. I think this week is gonna be a good week. I love that some of you guys said I have a pond full of frogs, those things that you don't want to do, but that need to be done. And I do want to say when I have those kinds of things to do, I try to think of future Jennifer and how happy she's going to be when she walks into her clean closet or her cleaned out garage. Or so you're actually, when you do those frogs, you're giving yourself a gift because you're getting it done. That future you is being taken care of. So that might help kind of the, and you've put the power of putting it on paper, and that right there really helps you embrace that and what you need, because when it's down on paper, you're kind of getting that ball rolling. So good for you guys. Now let's look at our weekly to-dos. Now that's the space that's the next door neighbor to our weekly goals. And a lot of times our to-dos could just be a list of tasks, but they could also directly tie in to our goals. And I'm going to show you a great example of what that looks like. Many of our Sonder family members love this Eisenhower matrix. And I've got here's some examples from you guys who have used this, set that up in your journal. And basically, the Eisenhower matrix helps you prioritize. You have your whole list of to-dos and you start plugging them in as to their importance and their urgency. And it gives you an opportunity to see what's not quite as important and not quite as urgent, and that can be dropped. You can get rid of that. And then other things can be delegated. And I don't know about you, but if my list is super duper long, I end up doing the things that are probably not important and not urgent, because those are going to be my easier tasks. So this is a great tool for getting through those to-do lists that feel overwhelming. Here are some examples of Sonder family members to-do list. I want to point out the one that's at the top there. If you'll notice the goals, those 3 goals, it's balance, budget, and bylaws. And then if you look at the to-dos, this person actually did the to-do list to correspond with each one of the goals. And so that's kind of a neat way to make sure that you're holding yourself accountable. It's sort of the to-dos are the steps to get that goal met, right? And then other folks have divided their to-do list into like my work to-do list, my home to-do list. Maybe it's your morning routine to-do list and your evening routine to-do list. And then there's some ways to repurpose this. Lots of our Silk and Sonder family members will make a little bingo board here and kind of gamify, because it makes it fun to do. Perhaps you just fill the space with a quote about, something that's going to guide your steps this week. Maybe it's a whole list of things you're going to take away, a subtraction list, a to not do list, especially if you're doing some self-work about that self-talk and how you're taking care of yourself. Anyway, and then the one that's down there in the middle is just a to be list. What do you need to be this week? And then finally, the upper right-hand corner is the to-do list. And I'm part of Team to-do. I leave this blank. And then my to-dos go in my weekly spread. Each day I have my to-dos for that list. But if I do extra things, I put them in this to-do list and celebrate those. So let's work on this and let us know, what you're planning to do this week and how you use this space, especially if you do any kind of a repurposing. Okay, so there were some points definitely made. If you live alone, it is hard to delegate some things, but maybe you can think of ways you could trade off services with friends to, if a friend is really good at something, let them do that, and then you do something for them. Maybe it's as easy, it could be, maybe driving through and picking up a meal instead of meal prepping. I appreciate you guys sharing those things. We're going to have a busy week. Now, let's drop down now to that habit and activity tracker. That monthly tracker has all those things on there that we want to attempt to do every day of the month. But the weekly tracker can be set up for this particular week. And so that's kind of the difference between those two trackers. And that's why we have the weekly tracker in that weekly spread. But you may want to use some of those intentions and tracker, monthly tracker things in your weekly. And I'll give you a hint. One of my weekly habits tends to be check your monthly tracker. And then I can mark that off in the week. So I remember to flip back and make sure I'm getting those daily things done. Here are a ton of examples from how Sonder family sets this up in their journal. You don't have to do every single day of the week. You can see that big X with the washi tape up there. You can not set goals for, a number of times that you want to do something. Notice like there's the one at the very bottom there. They're just going to track when this activity happens. They're not setting up a goal. You can gamify it by doing something like that bottom middle where you do something 5 times, something 4 times, something 3 times, etc. And then I also want to point out, if you'll notice the 2 examples over there on the right, there are actually days circled, which will indicate when that activity or that habit will occur. That's kind of planning ahead. So you can see that the one in the middle there, laundry day, is going to be Monday and Wednesday. I'm going to give you some examples of habits, some activity inspiration. Let's work on this for a few minutes and I'll come back and check on you. There is so much power in writing these things down and seeing when you get them done. So good job, guys. We've got our habits and activities for the week ready. So now we're going to hop over to page 47 and we're going to look at all of these sections together. Now, again, you can use these sections as is, as they're printed, but you can also repurpose. And I think this page gets repurposed a lot. And the meal plan, especially, I think is the number one space for repurposing. So I'm going to show you a ton of examples and I'll just put on some music so that you can go back and kind of take a look at how you're going to frame these out. But let's go ahead and go through these slides very quickly, and then I'll put on some music for you to work on these spaces. So this is the way that the meal plan can be set up in a lot of different ways. It's not exhaustive because I know this space again gets repurposed a ton. And I know that some folks will only put their main meal of the day on this page. They may use a space like the mind body plan for that main meal and then use this meal plan space for other purposes, because it's just those nice chunky rectangles there. We have the mind body health plan. This might be the space that you're going to use to really embrace how you're going to meet your needs this week. And there's a lot of ways you can, look at the one in the middle. I feel this way, so I need whatever. What a great way to track what we just worked on with our deep dig into loyalty. Again, a lot of examples of how you can set that up. And then the one that's down there on the right is always one of my favorites. How am I going to take care of my mind and body this week? I'm going to just get off my butt. Can you imagine you open your journal and you see that message? So it might just be you slap something like that in there, just those words of inspiration, like, oh yeah. The shopping list, again, not an exhaustive list, another great space to repurpose. I always put a little bingo board of my tasks and my treats for the week. Here's some examples of that. Some more examples. Look at the one that's there on the bottom left. It's a very intentional way of checking in on the people that are important to you in your life. And they've got a Monday through Sunday with all those people that they love, that they want to make either a text connection, a call, or a face-to-face connection. I love that. And then finally, what are you loving? And this is just like at this very moment, what are you loving? So let me put on some music. I'm going to go back through all of these slides. So if this is brand new to you, you'll have a chance to take a look and maybe grab some shots of what you like and how you want to set this up. Let us know if you repurpose any of these spaces. Okay, so you guys got to see some great examples. I know that some of you are going to try some new things this week. I did want to, I know that we always have a birthday person in the crowd. I did the birthday bingo that's up there in that top corner last year for my birthday, and I had so much fun just focusing on me. And so I encourage you, if you've got something special in your life, make a little bingo for that. It's pretty fun to just kind of gamify the intentionality of that. And then finally, I will show you very quickly. Here are some weekly spreads of how folks set up those spaces. And I'll scroll back through as we are playing our goodbye song so that you can get a better look at that if you're still not sure what to do in those pages. I know that a lot of folks say, what do you do with the one thing box? So if you'll really quickly drop in the chat, how do you use the one thing box at the top of every day? I use that for my affirmation space. That's where I write the daily affirmations from Sonder Club. But if you use it for something else, please be sure to drop that in the chat because that's always very helpful for folks to see. And you guys saw lots of wonderful examples today from the Sonder family. So we love when you share your journal as you're comfortable in Sonder Club so that we can, share with one another. You may see your page show up on one of these pages. There are those very important QR codes. Be sure to use them if you want to refer a friend. You get $10 off, they'll get $10 off. And then, of course, feedback can be shared using the QR code on the right. That is also a space. You'll also receive an email for feedback. And feedback can be anything about times for socials that might work for you. Be sure to always let us know what time zone you're in, as well as maybe other features you'd like to see or other types of socials that you would like to see, frequency, anything like that. Let headquarters know. And we will, and then finally, here's my playlist really quickly, but I will drop the link to that. Let me grab that really quickly. I go follow me on Spotify. I always have our monthly there. I want to thank you for taking time for yourself to set yourself up for a great week. We will see you next time, Sonder family. Have a wonderful, wonderful week.